Hey everybody, welcome back to Check the Gate and AFI Deep Dive, back from our year-long hiatus.
Woo!
How y'all doing? Yeah,
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm Bert, and as always, I'm joined here with Brandon
Hello.
and Michael.
Hello.
And like we did a year ago, we all chose our these movies that we wanted to do. Now that the list is proper done, we put those 100 movies to bed. We all went in for a pool, and Brandon, this was a you pick. Our film is Back to the Future. Since you chose this movie, why don't you talk about why this is one of the movies that you felt like we needed to do?
Well, all right. So being a big fan of 80s movies, growing up in that era, just after that era, I guess, but old enough to understand 80s movies, this was one of my favorite movies, and still is one of my favorite movies of all time. Mm-hmm. This movie, you know, has a little bit of everything. It's got comedy, it's got action, a little bit of drama, twists. It's a great storyline, great plot. Yeah, I mean, what can be better than time travel, guys? Like, I'm a big fan. Like, I love time travel. And
Are you
these
big
guys,
on all three of them?
just the first two.
Okay,
Yeah,
that makes
those
sense.
those are my favorite. But yeah, it's just a great movie about a great character, great couple characters, Doc Brown and Marty McFly, that are just, you know,
That iconic image of the two. Yeah.
They're just a classic duo. You know, it's just like a buddy adventure movie.
Yeah, between a 17-year-old and a question mark 30 to
Yeah,
70
question
year
mark.
old?
We don't really
30 to
know
70.
because you know, I don't believe in the first movie, The Back to the Future, that was the first time Doc Brown ever time traveled.
You don't think so?
No,
He's
you
got
think
the old makeup on.
you think the first time time traveling was when he sent that dog in there?
Yeah. He had 30 years. He had to spend all that money. He had to go steal a bunch of plutonium. He didn't have the plutonium until, 2 weeks before is what the TV said at the beginning?
Yeah, that is true.
Other than that, it's a bolt of lightning. A bolt of lightning.
Plasma.
You know.
But I mean, this movie was just awesome. And then, you know, obviously the two other movies that came out afterwards, you know, had great success. Yeah, that's why I chose it. It's just a solid movie.
Yeah. And obviously we did Forrest Gump, which is it's probably, I don't know, the two Zemeckis movies we're going to do, I think I prefer over Forrest Gump, so it's kind of strange that,
Yeah.
I mean, that's the one that won all the Oscars and awards and all that stuff, so it's probably why it's more of a Oscar darling than it is just a fun, great popcorn flick.
Yeah. A great summer movie, you know. I thought the storyline was just fantastic, well written. You know, they take a complex theory in time travel, right? And the butterfly effect, and they just kept it simple. It was just not over anybody's head. Like, you use a car to time travel, you know, and you go back in time. Your choices might influence things that happen in the future.
Yeah. And I mean, they're very good about, you know, obviously we'll get into it, but the first 20 minutes, it's all setting you up for the other hour and a half. It kind of reminds me of, you know, a million years ago when we started this podcast and we did Jaws, where we find out there's a shark attack, telling us why it's important that this is a bad thing that's happening to this town. He just walks through the town and it shows us that it's 4th of July weekend. It's very important. You know, all the tourist stuff's coming in. So that first 20 minutes, we're setting up. He loves rock and roll. He can skateboard. His parents met. His mom pretty much just, you know, word vomits all exposition just about setting up how they met and why that's such a big deal that it didn't work that way. You know, like all that kind of stuff. Just taking us through the really dirty porn theater town of Hill Valley, setting up those landmarks. Obviously, you know, him even just getting the flyer that's going to set up why they know the exact time and date that this lightning storm's going to happen, kind of thing. So it's all that first 20 minutes. It's kind of like information overload, but it sets you up for such a breezy hour and a half. You know?
Yeah, and it's so and that stuff is so relatable too. Like, it's a teenager coming of age movie too, where you think your parents are so weird, they must be from Mars or whatever, you know. And he's like, I don't know how I'm born from these people.
Doesn't help when your dad's a goober.
And dude, Crispin Glover, man, bravo, right? Like that is such a good character. Yeah. Like to play someone so like meek and just like timid, it's great.
Like he's played other like doofusy characters, but maybe that's the only one that I remember him as. Is like, yeah, that's
he was
his
the hair sniffing villain in the Charlie's Angels movie, that first one.
I don't know. Oh yeah. I remember that. Yeah, okay.
He has like the same exact haircut.
Yeah, it's like
greased
over.
His movie with the rats, it was like Willard or something like that. That was a weird ass movie.
Oh.
That actually like rang a bell.
I mean, he definitely has a lane.
I'll have to look into that.
And
I have seen that movie. Yep, I just looked it up. Yeah,
the movie poster knew it.
Even more than just Doc Brown and Marty, but you also get like that great Biff Tannen villain where apparently he's just a canon event in all of the McFly timeline, whether it's past, present, or future. There's always just a Tannen there that's trying to fuck your shit up, and he's gonna get doused in manure one way or the other.
Great scene.
Just
love that.
We need to bring Butthead back, I think.
There's so many good lines in the movie too. Gave us so many good
Make
quotes.
Like a tree and get out of here.
I love it.
Yeah.
I finally invented something that works. So good.
Well, anyway, like I said, we're doing Back to the Future, which is a 1985 film. It's about Marty McFly, a 17-year-old high school student who is accidentally sent 30 years in the past in a time-traveling DeLorean invented by his close friend, the maverick scientist Doc Brown. The top 3 films in 1985 are number 3, Rocky IV, 2, Rambo First Blood, so we got a double dip of Stallone, and number 1 is obviously Back to the Future. A ticket cost in 1985 $3.55, which is equivalent to $10.34 our money. The budget started at $15 million, but ballooned to $19 million for reasons we'll obviously get into, which is equivalent to $55.3 million our money. And the total box office was $384.5 million, which is equivalent to $1.1 billion with the pinky. The film was nominated for 4 Academy Awards and it won 1. It lost Original Song for The Power of Love by Huey Lewis, Best Sound and Original Screenplay. However, it won for sound effects and visual effects and sound editing. There you go. Beautiful. When we open on this movie, it's kind of like what I said before. We get that, great tracking shot where we're kind of setting up what's going on. We're showing, we're not telling. Obviously we get the images of the clocks. Time is a very big deal in this movie. But, then we get all these Rube Goldberg machines that you can see that have been, left unattended. We got dog food piling up, getting all gross. We got toast that's burning because it's been left in a toaster for 2 weeks.
2 days.
A couple days.
Yeah.
The TV is saying that there's been plutonium that's been stolen by Libyan nationalists. They don't know where it is. And then we get the Michael J. Fox feet walking in, the skateboard rolls in, and it nudges up against that plutonium box. So, okay, yeah. He's got it here, and he pulls out the world's smallest guitar, possibly a ukulele, plugs it into the world's largest amp. And, by the way, that guitar's got to be tiny because Michael J. Fox is like 5'5". And
yeah, he's a small guy too.
Wails on it, gets blasted back. Phone rings. He gets a call from Doc, who lets him know, Marty, you're at my house. I need you to meet me at the Twin Pines Mall at 1:15 a.m. Also, be sure not to plug in that amp because I don't think it's been properly tested. Oh, good to know.
Oops.
We get that great iconic shot of him skateboarding by grabbing onto the. He's the coolest kid in school.
So cool. So
just driving
cool.
around Burbank, hanging onto the back of cars. What the power of love.
I wanted that Toyota pickup so bad.
Really?
That black
With
one.
The Jurassic Park spotlights up on top of it. And,
yeah, the roll bars.
I always wanted that Mountain Dew hat that the driver's wearing. Like the old 80s trucker hats that were just everybody's hats.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're kind of introducing us to we're setting up landmarks. School covered in graffiti. All the streets are like porn shops, porn theaters, or they're just run down, dilapidated drugstores, bail bonds. We got a diner. We got vote for Goldie Wilson for mayor. His middle name is Progress. Don't forget that. The rundown clock tower, which is in the backlot of Universal Studios. I've actually been there. It's pretty cool, that entire area.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to the Universal Studios, either of you?
Yes.
No? Michael?
Yes, twice.
No.
I actually have an interesting story I will get to when it's relevant about this movie and that backlot. But we're setting up that Marty loves to play guitar. He's in the Battle of the Bands. Fun fact, I've only ever done bar trivia twice. And both times, the tie-breaking question was, what is Marty's band in Back to the Future?
I would lose.
Pinheads. Remember that. You'll never forget it now. We're setting up that it's a big weekend. He's going to go out to the lake with his girlfriend. It's alluding that they're going to have sex for the first time. That's why it's a really big, important time. I thought it was weird that after school, her dad picks her up at the town square instead of at school.
At school, yeah.
They're just like, that's when they set up the whole save the clock tower. The mayor's trying to put in a new clock. Sounds like a great idea. It's the only thing that they're trying to refurbish in this entire area, and they don't want them to do it. We find out that 30 years ago on this exact day, lightning struck that clock tower and made it stop forever. Hands him a flyer. Marty races back home, finds out his car has been totaled. Well, his dad's car's been totaled because his dad, George's lifelong bully, Biff Tannen, butthead, has totaled his car because he didn't know the car had a blind spot. He's straight up just big manning him the whole time. Telling him he's got to write up his own report so he can type it, all that kind of stuff. And he's pretty much just watching his dad be a giant pushover. And it's kind of painful to watch, to be honest. Obviously, I know that's...
Yeah, it definitely aggravates you.
Yeah, especially...
Well, and you just get the disappointment from Marty, just like, man, I'm supposed to look up to this guy, but he's just...
Yeah, I mean, especially after
just
he
being
leaves,
pushed.
and then his dad's like, I know. I'm a sad sack wet blanket.
I love how he talks.
I am your density. And there are stories about visitors. His mom, sets up, we find it, we see the show don't tell. His mom is clearly an alcoholic, sitting down with a glass of vodka at the table. Your Uncle Joey didn't make parole again.
Like in her bathrobe. Yeah.
Your Uncle Joey didn't make parole again, which is another great little thing that happens a little later. And then she's, pretty much is like, if your grandfather hadn't run over, your dad, we never would have gone to the Enchantment Under the Sea dance. We never would have kissed for the first time. We never would have fallen in love. And then she was like, I knew that moment. It starts off very sweet, and then she slows down.
Trails off into
Because
depression.
we just cut to George just laughing at Jackie Gleason.
He's a real winner, guys.
This big bowl of peanut brittle for dinner. Oh, by the way, I guess there was a deleted scene that showed it was like a little girl and a father showed up at the house, and he was like, "Hey, my daughter is trying to raise money by selling peanut brittle. Will you buy 20 boxes?" kind of thing. And he says, "Sure."
And that's where he gets
And
it
then
all. Yep.
the dad turns to his daughter and says, "See, we don't need to go house to house. We'll just come here because George McFly is a pushover and he'll just buy all of it." So I was like, that's why, one, the camera like leers on that peanut brittle, but that scene was cut out. So it's he's just filling up an entire bowl for dinner of just peanut brittle. And like that. And again, you get the shot of Marty looking at him, looking down at the peanut brittle, just like, come on, man.
What the hell?
Yeah. What has my life come to?
Dude, all the little nuggets in this movie are so good, you know, and the fact that they like,
and there's so many too.
yeah, and the fact that they follow up on them too. It's not just like this throwaway.
That's what I'm saying.
thing.
Like everything that's set up is, has to do with something. So you're getting a lot in that first 20 minutes, but it's all for a reason. It's all thoroughly thought out. And I mean, they nailed it. I mean, do you have any time travel bugaboos about this movie? Like, there's usually with any time travel movie, somebody's got something to complain about. But
like the theory of it.
no, yeah, like, does it exist?
I mean, I ain't a smart man.
There's always like some sort of
I
mean-
loophole or questions that weren't answered. If he did this, would it actually set up this kind of thing? We
Rudimentary, like science wise. I mean, they're on to something with the flux capacitor, but I mean, it's clearly just for fun.
Yeah.
And the best part about like the time travel part, or I guess with any movie with time travel, they the lore behind it and the speculation behind things. That's what makes it fun too.
Yeah, and the thought of just being able to go to your past and change one thing or see how your parents were in high school,
Mm-hmm.
and changing that one thing might have like this ultimate effect on how your life becomes, or just kind of repeats itself. Like in his case, just things repeat themselves but there's just a little bit of a difference, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like when she's telling the story about if my dad, if your grandpa wouldn't have hit your dad with the car, and then like literally later in the movie, like the same thing happens, and you're like, whoa.
It's the Florence Nightingale effect.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Michael J. Fox meets Doc Brown at the Twin Pines Mall. Remember that? Pulls up. We get that iconic shot of the van opening up, the steam coming out, and like a DeLorean of all cars comes piling out. I guess by this time the DeLorean had already shit the bed. So it was cheaper to use. I guess, but then after this movie, it made everything. It kind of juiced it up just for a little bit.
Made it super, super cool for like 2 years, and then it died off again.
So
Yeah.
I think they only made like 9,000. I was reading.
Wow.
No, but if you
I knew it was very little.
if you wanted to if you
Yeah,
want to make a time machine, you want something that you can travel in style.
Yeah.
But I heard that I read that they did the DeLorean because the doors that had the butterfly doors, and for 1955 that would seem very futuristic, and that's the whole he's from space kind of like it's a spaceship, not a car. But
Dude, DeLorean's still doing stuff.
are they?
I just looked at their website. They have a pretty futuristic looking car. It's called the Alpha 5. So when you get a second, take a gander at it.
I know that after this movie came out, they made like mods that you could modify your DeLorean to look like the time machine.
Oh my gosh. I mean, feed into it,
And there's always like every October 26th, there's a story about a guy getting pulled over, speeding in a DeLorean, going 88 miles an hour. Especially back in
On Back to the Future Day.
2015, October 26th. It was just they did like a parade of DeLoreans. And probably used half the DeLoreans that still worked for the parade. Christopher Lloyd is absolutely, his look alone is super iconic. The white plutonium jacket, the
sideshow, the white sideshow bob hair.
It's like the Einstein white poof, but like with the
Yeah.
Costanza horseshoe ball up on top. He lets us know that he's finally done it. This is the big one, Marty. Finally did it. And if my calculations are correct, when this baby hits 88 miles an hour, you're going to see some serious shit. Which, by the way, isn't on one of the famous quotes list. There were no famous quotes, not even 1.21 gigawatts, nothing.
Or Great
No
Scott.
Great Scott, no Butthead.
Dang.
Of all the things that are on there that we were like, what the hell? Like,
Yeah.
wow.
Not
We could replace a lot of them with this one, you know?
Chuck, it's me, Marvin Berry. That's not on there. That new sound you're
Where
looking
we're
for.
going, we don't need
Not
roads.
on there. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Man.
Some horse shit.
He loads up Einstein, backs him up, fires him off 88 miles an hour. You get that iconic shot of him trying to move out of the way, and he kind of like has him come back. He hits 88, blasts off. You get the fired tracks right at their feet. Turns around. He thinks that he just disintegrated Einstein. I had seen that in when they did test showings for this movie, they didn't tell anybody what it was about, and they didn't know it was a comedy. So they thought that they were like, "Is this just a movie where they just blew a dog up?" So like,
Yep.
Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale, the guy who wrote the film, said that you could feel the air get sucked out of the theater because people were like legitimately worried about this dog.
Worried about the dog. Like, yeah, we just sent him back in time, guys.
Forward in time, not where the hell is he? When the hell
Yeah,
is
forward, yeah.
he?
There you go, another good one.
Lets him know he's in the future 1 minute. To him, it seems simultaneous, and then right at that minute, they jump out of the way and the car comes back. Sure enough, he's 1 minute in the future. He gave him those synchronized clocks, and it's a minute off.
Time dilation.
Takes him inside. Let me show you how it works. Shows him the flux capacitor, that classic Y. I always said that my first vehicle
so
I was going
cool.
to put one of those in there, just like have in the back. I never did.
Bummer.
He lets us know that he invented time travel 30 years ago when he was trying to fix a clock in his bathroom, slipped on wet porcelain, slammed his head against the counter, and when he came to, that's when he discovered.
Got the idea.
And I asked you when you were here in town, Michael, but did you invent time travel when you did the same thing a couple months ago?
No. Just blood everywhere. My dog looked at me like, what's your deal?
Idiot.
Get up or what?
Yeah, No. Final answer, no, I did not.
Doc Brown lets us know that, he finally did something that worked. He kind of waxed poetic a little bit. It's like time is a big deal. 30 years ago, I remember when, this was orange groves as far as the eye could see. It's all farmland. There was this guy named Peabody who had this weird idea about breeding pine trees.
Pine trees, huh?
Snaps back into. Anyway, okay. All right. Well, I'll look you up in the future. I'm gonna go, discover time. All of a sudden, Libyan nationalists. I don't know how they found me, but they found me.
They're tracking the plutonium.
He said that he was gonna make him a bomb, and instead he gave him a bomb casing full of pinball parts. They find him.
Classic Doc Brown.
Roll up, blow his ass away, shoot him, kill him. He's dead. Marty flips out, gets in the car, tries to escape himself. It's like he wasn't even paying attention because he said he was going to go 88 miles an hour, and he goes, "Let's see if you guys can do 90." Obviously, hits the ideal 88 miles an hour. Doc already set it for the past, so instantaneously blasts into the past. He goes from a parking lot to a field and crashes into a barn. That family wakes up, you get the classic, like, "Oh, what's going on?" They go in there, and there's that space vehicle. He gets out, and he's in a hazmat suit, so he looks like an alien.
Aliens.
The kid's got the comic book, The Man from Pluto, which was originally the title of this movie.
Which was, yeah.
A little nod, because I guess they said they were getting a lot of complaints about the title being confusing. Because how do you go back to the future? The future, you go forward to the future. That was like a big bugaboo for every for everybody. But Steven Spielberg loved the title, so.
Yeah, I think that's the allure of the name, right? Like,
and they say the titular line in the title in the movie too. So
yeah,
and it makes sense once he says it. Just read that part in the script, guys. We're gonna send you back to the future. Marty's freaked out. He thinks he's having like some sort of like fever dream. The car's out of gas, both literally and no plutonium, but also because it doesn't run on gas. He stashes the car. And he makes his way into Hill Valley, and it's pristine. You get like the classic Mr. Sandman song playing over everything, just showing you how bright everything is. And then you got the current mayor from 1955. Progress is his middle name. Some things never change. And he makes his way into that diner. What was that back? He's got the vest on. Everyone calls it a life preserver.
the life jacket.
What are you out at sea? What? No. Can I get a Pepsi free? You can get a soda pop. You're gonna pay for it. How about a tab, buddy? You can't start a tab if you ain't get nothing. And then he give me something with no sugar, so he gives him a water.
Water.
Goes to the public phone because that's back when they had yellow pages. I guess they probably still did in '88, also '85, but. Finds Doc Brown's address because that's a crazy thing about phone books. It's not just to have your phone number in there, but your address is in there. I don't know why we never thought that wasn't a bad idea.
Right.
I mean, it's the same as. I mean, everything's online now too. But yeah, no, I mean.
Sure, but like all I have to do is.
But now you're supposed to like protect your privacy,
it's a whole thing now.
your information.
You're just
right?
advertising where you live.
We made the yellow
Just
pages.
pick up a 1990s phone book and you'll find
I remember
me.
thinking that was really cool as a kid because we had a phone book. Like everybody's household had one. Go in there and you flip to the
then
C's
you
and
look
find,
up your own phone number.
there we
Yeah,
are.
you used to like try to find your friends. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you have to guess what their parents' names are. We just know their last names.
Good luck if their
It's
last
got to be
name's like.
that one.
Yeah, good luck if their last name's like Patterson or something.
He runs into his dad. Uncanny. He's still a goof. Some things never change. And that's when we meet young Biff. With his insane clown posse that follows him around. One of them is Billy Zane. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah. I noticed it again, like watching it. I'm like, oh, there he
Hasn't
is.
aged
He's in
hasn't
everything.
aged a day. We get almost the exact same dialogue. Hey, did you finish my homework? Well, Biff, you ain't gotta give me all the time. He's like, you gotta give me time to rewrite it in my handwriting, because if I don't write it in my handwriting, I'm gonna get kicked out of school. And you wouldn't want that now, would you? Would you? All that kind of stuff. We get that really funny look where Marty's trying to talk to George, and he's clearly just like freaked out by this guy who like is taking this interest in him. He sneaks away and he follows him to a tree where he's having a little peep show because he's seen a lady get undressed. It's a peeping Tom. He's a perv.
He's a perv.
George falls out of the tree. There's a car coming. Marty pushes him out of the way. Car hits him. His head slams on the concrete. And what gets me is when the guy gets out of the car, Marty's grandpa, he goes, another one. So this isn't
Another one, yeah.
This isn't the first time kids are falling out of. It's either not the first time people are falling out of this tree watching his daughter undress, or it's not the first time he's run over children on that street. Either or, this is a common occurrence. He wakes up to the sound of his mother's voice. Oh, he's like, oh my God, I had a terrible dream. And now you're safe in my room in 1955. 1955? He wakes up. It's his mother, much younger, played by Leah Thompson. Great. Snubbed at the Oscars that year.
Who's just ready to jump his bones while he's like waking up.
Yeah, she's insatiable.
Well, that's the whole thing is like at the beginning where, because Marty's girlfriend is calling the house and she goes, girls calling after boys, following boys home or, sitting in a parked car with boys. I never did anything like that. And then we find out it's quite the opposite.
Quite the
Yeah,
opposite.
it turns out all our parents were also like that growing up. All the stuff that they tell us not to do, they did it first.
Phony.
She's calling him Calvin. He doesn't understand why. It's like, because it's written on your underwear, silly.
Oh yeah.
We get,
Telling ya, the nuggets. Nuggets.
we go downstairs to meet the family. We just installed our brand new spanking black and white TV. Now we can watch Jackie Gleason while we eat. One of my favorite just small moments that doesn't mean anything is just like, he kind of leans and he's got his Uncle Joey as a baby in the crib. And he goes, he cries every time we take him out, so we just leave him in there. He's like, get used to those bars, kid.
Yeah.
He spoils Jackie Gleason for him. Because, what's a rerun? We get... That's the kind of stuff that people do way too much now. Any sort of time travel thing, it's... I'm going to say something from my time, and then you say, what is that?
Predict
What
the
does that
future.
mean? Like, this movie,
Yeah.
is obviously probably one of the first ones to do it, but it's just like, now it's just an overused trope. I'm going to say things, you're going to say what, and it's like, oh, you'll hear about it later. That kind of thing.
Yeah, you don't know about
Who
that
the hell
yet.
was John F. Kennedy? Lorraine, his mom, wants him to, like, stay the night in her room, all that kind of stuff. He's got to get the fuck out of there. He's got to go meet Doc. He goes to Doc's home. We find out he's got the bandage on his head because he had just hit his head. Tells him he's from the future. Who's the president? Ronald Reagan. The actor?
The actor.
Yeah.
Who's the vice president? Jerry Lewis. He tells him what we already know. The reason why you have that owie on your head is because you slipped off your toilet, smacked your head. And that's when you invented time travel, Doc. And he shows him the picture of the flux capacitor. He takes him to the DeLorean, shows him he did it. Eureka, great Scott. I finally did something worthwhile. He has that mind-reading device on his head that doesn't work. Do you know what this means?
It's just a crackpot, man.
Yeah.
Like,
And also at the beginning of the movie when the TV's telling us about the plutonium, we have the newspaper clippings saying that his house burned down and then he sold off 135 prime acres. So you're wondering if he burned it down for the insurance money, and then because he says that later he sold his entire family fortune to invent this time travel machine. So he's getting close to being a for real crackpot because now he hit his head. Now he literally had a vision from God about time travel.
Descending into madness.
Yeah. We get it back to the car. He shows him the videotape, which he had a pretty easy hookup to hook up his 1985
yeah.
video camera to his black and white 1955 TV. I love he's watching. He's like, oh my God, I'm so old. I still have great hair though. The exact same terrible hair.
Yeah, same exact.
He mentions that he needs plutonium for the 1.21 gigawatts worth of power. Freaks out. And he goes, no, it's cool. We just need plutonium. He makes the comment. He's like, in 1985, plutonium might be easy to buy, but it's a little hard to find nowadays. He's like, the only thing that would give that kind of electricity is a bolt of lightning. A bolt of lightning. And you can't even predict when that's going to happen. Au contraire, mon frere.
But can we?
Luckily, I was given that flyer that says exactly when it's going to happen. I can stand a week in 1955. Hey, he lets him know, hey, we're hanging out for a week. Stay away from your family. Butterfly effect. Anything you do.
Stay away from your mom.
Yeah. Fight off your mom.
Anything you do is going to possibly, not the implications, but the
Ramifications.
the ramifications. I'm not willing to accept the responsibility of what's going to happen if you do anything that's going... And then that's when we find out that he actually did meet his mom and his parents. He pulls a photo of his family out.
Oh, they're disappearing.
They're starting to disappear. That's when we find out he does the math in his head. Oh, yeah. I was the one who got hit by the car. We go to the school and we see his dad. It's just a straight-up dweeb. Doc Brown's like, maybe you were adopted. He's got the kick me sign on him, and the principal gets mad at him because he's getting picked on.
Yeah.
He's such a slacker.
He's just a dweeb.
Doc's like, we need to find some sort of rhythmic ceremony ritual, or he says something silly just to say, dance. Here's the Enchantment of the Sea dance. It's coming up. That's what we need to do. Here we go. Plans in motion. We got to set these two lovebirds up. But how are we going to do that? Because every time I talk to Lorraine, she swoons. He's such a dreamboat. Everything he does to try to prop George up just makes him look that much more the stud muffin. It doesn't help that every time he sends George in there to do his hit on her, Biff shows up, ruins everything. Marty steps in to fight Biff. That just makes Marty look even more the tough guy. We get that iconic skateboard car chase where he invents skateboarding. Also, he takes the box scooter from those kids.
Scooter.
Get that great chase while they're in that nice souped up car that ends with them crashing into a manure. I hate manure. I think that's from the third one. But back at Doc's home, Marty finds out that Doc has been watching all the tape that shows him get shot to death. Well, he didn't get that far, but he sees that something bad happens. He wants to tell him, but you can't tell me. You're going to undo the fabric of space and time if you do that. But then suddenly there's a knock at the door because Lorraine has followed him home. We get that great shot of Doc standing behind her with the face. He's like, this is bad.
Are you telling me my mom's got the hots for me?
There's that word again, heavy. Is there something wrong with the gravitational pull in the future? That's heavy duty, Doc.
That's heavy. That's heavy, Doc.
She wants him to take her to the dance, and then he's like, wouldn't you rather go with George? He's hot. And she's like, he's okay, but he's a fucking dork. Marty's like, goes to George, you gotta take her to the dance. Here's what's gonna happen. And then he's like, no, I'm not doing it. So he sneaks in and pretends to be an alien. Puts Van
Darth
Halen
Vader
on in his headphones and blasts that terrible rock and roll music from 1955. Says he's going to melt his brain if he doesn't take Lorraine to the dance. So now he has to take Lorraine to the dance. They come up with a plan. I'm going to sit in the car with her. I'm going to get a little physical with her. You come in, save the day. Do I have to swear? God damn it, George, you got to swear. Hey, you, get your damn hands off of her. And then you're going to punch me in the face. Everything will be fine. She'll fall in love with you. You'll kiss. And that'll, you'll live happily ever after. Sounds easy enough. What could go wrong?
Biff.
It's the night of the dance, and it's also the same night as the giant storm. Doc Brown's hooking up his weather experiment that he has to have papers for. He got hooking it up. Essentially, lightning's going to strike the tower. It's going to follow this wire down. Forgive my crude model. He said I didn't have time to paint it. He did it in a couple hours. A perfect to scale model. Yeah. Forgive my crude drawing.
Damn, that's pretty good.
Which is another running thing. He says that multiple times over the series too. He hits it exactly 88 miles an hour. It's going to hit the cord that's attached to the car. It's going to take him back to the future. Perfect. Say the line. Take a drink. Sounds good. We pull up in the car. Marty and Lorraine are in the car. She's sneaking alcohol. I snuck it from my mom's liquor cabinet. He can already see the writing. Oh, you shouldn't be drinking. That can lead to, She takes a puff of a cigarette. Oh, now you smoked. She starts getting super handsy with him. Lays a big old kiss on him, but she doesn't like it, which is good. Thank God. I had read that a lot of people reading the script, they didn't like it because they thought it was too funny, and nobody wanted to pick it up. So somebody told Zemeckis and Gale, take it to Disney. And they took it to Disney, and Disney was like, are you fucking insane? This is incest. So it was
gross.
It wasn't intense enough for other studios, but it was too extreme for Disney.
For Disney,
then, Universal picked it up because Spielberg got the bump with them. She tells him, I don't know what it is, but kissing you, it's like kissing my brother. No good. The door opened.
A little bit
the door
different,
opens.
but
He's like, "Oh, thank God, George." He gets pulled out, but it's Biff. The goon squad grab him, throw him in the back of a trunk that turns out to be the band playing at the dance. Their trunk. He gets locked in there with the keys, and Biff decides he's going to force himself on Lorraine, which is crazy that at the end of the movie he is like George's lackey. So it's like weird that you're constantly keeping this man around your family after you like literally
right. And that scene's very aggressive too, for like the tone of the movie.
You know,
like
George comes down. Oh shit, I'm late. I'm supposed to go down there. Opens the door. Hey, you, get your damn hand. And then he turns around and like she is like the fear in her eyes. It's like terrifying. It's just like Jesus. This
yeah.
You know, like you were just saying, the tone shifts dramatically.
Yeah, big time. I remember it, just, watching it for the podcast, and I was just like, had that same feeling again, just like, ooh, uncomfortable, like your skin kind of crawls a little bit, and you're like, I thought this was a funny movie.
He pretty
just
much
got
tells
real.
Biff tells him, just walk away, which is insane, because I'm assuming they're just going to go to school again on Monday. Like, it's just like...
yeah. Or run into each other later in the night, because it seems to happen quite a bit.
He decides he's going to pull him out. Biff starts beating him up, but he gets that one thing of courage. His cowardly limp hand turns into a powerful fist, and he gets a nasty right hook on Biff and knocks him clean out. Are you okay? She's got the lovey-dovey eyes. The band breaks Marty out of the trunk, but he slices the guitar player's hand open so he can't play. Hey, you guys gotta go on because they gotta dance, and if they don't dance, they're not gonna kiss. If they don't kiss, they're not gonna fall in love. If they don't fall in love, I'm not gonna be born. So he decides he's gonna play guitar for him while they dance. Which, by the way, this is like my weird, when I was saying, do you have any like time travel bugaboos? I feel like once he's
the electric
playing
guitar,
he should stop disappearing, because she's now wanting him to kiss her. Nothing Marty does the rest of the movie is now going to affect their relationship.
Yeah, everything's back on track.
Once he's like, there has to be music, because if there's no music, they can't dance. Now that there's music back on, everything should be fine. You know what I'm saying? She wants...
Doesn't matter the quality of the music. I mean, it's still music,
Yeah, I was gonna say that the type of music, maybe the kicker.
Angel. But that's after. That's once he gets his powers back.
Yeah,
he's fading away because they haven't technically kissed yet. The guy pushes George out of the way. We think it's like super intense, possibly thrilling.
Yeah.
Finally, George comes in, shoves that clown to the ground because he's got that newfound self-esteem, and he lays a big one on her. Finally, nobody's disappearing anymore. The pictures all come back. They're still wearing the same clothes, which is interesting. And then he starts fucking shredding, bruv. He's so good on the guitar.
So good.
The movie becomes
just
a musical.
Wailing.
They start doing Johnny Be Good, and he's just doing Eddie Van Halen's eruption of their...
I like that line, though, because it does become a musical. The movie does become a musical. There is a Back to the Future musical.
Right. Yeah.
So,
yeah. When my wife and I were in London
line.
last year, it was we saw Wicked, but like they have their theater row all right there, and one of them I was like, oh shit, didn't know that was a thing. But
yeah, I'd give it a watch.
Johnny Be Good.
Oh yeah,
it's the exact same movie, no music except for that one part. Oh,
and the power of love,
for sure. And then it probably ends with Back in Time. Yeah,
could be.
Other songs, Butthead. I'm sure Butthead is probably a good song. The villain has to have a song, so
self-titled.
The villain always has a song, so
Butthead.
Biff Tannen probably lays into a
Butthead solo.
Yeah, and he's like, I bet his goons are backing him up. You know,
The barbershop quartet snapping.
oh yeah, for sure. There was one guy at the dance doing that 1950s
Yeah.
finger snap while the girls are dancing. It always cracks me up. He's getting ready to leave because he's got to go. Everything's back to normal. They fell in love. Hey, before you go, if you guys do have kids, be nice to the one that lights your carpet on fire. Will we ever see you again? Yeah, probably down the road. Then he leaves, and I always laugh. The first time when we were going to record this a while back, I watched this with my wife, Cassie, and she has that line. She goes, Marty, I like that name. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to name my third child Marty. I like the name, just not
the first.
Not enough for the firstborn.
He races to the car. That's where we find out that Marty had given Doc that letter, pretty much saying, on the night that we go back in time, you get shot and killed, you need to take precautions, kind of thing. Doc finds it. It's a real intense thing. I can't deal with the responsibility. Tears it up, throws it in the air. They're about to have this argument, but the wind picks up, tree knocks the cable down, unhooks it. Now we got bigger problems. This is our one shot.
This is the thriller part right here.
For sure.
Dude, when he's clinging to those clock hands, like my palms are getting sweaty just thinking about
mom
it.
spaghetti.
My knees weak and arms heavy.
Really alley-oops that one, didn't you?
Yeah.
So Doc climbs up to the tower. He's got the cords he's trying to hook up. Marty goes back. He's like, whatever you do, just hit the gas when this alarm goes off. I'll figure everything else out. So this leads me to my Universal Studios story. Obviously, they have that tram. There's a tram tour, Michael, since you said you haven't gone. It's like a 45-minute tour. It's pretty cool. It takes you down the
solid
back lot.
tour length, too.
A bunch of sound stages. Honestly, that
was the best part of
tram
the whole thing.
It's it's worth the price of admission.
Yeah.
However much it costs, because it's like you're actually on like the one in California. I can't speak for the one in Florida, but the one in California, you're actually where, important films are made. They'll point out stages. This is where Frankenstein was filmed. The classics. They'll hit you with a bunch of stuff, and they'll take you onto a bunch of backlot tours. The airplane from War of the Worlds that crashes. Tom Cruise is walking through. It's still there. It's all out there. Anyway, off the tram tour, obviously they take you to Hill Valley, and you can see the clock tower that's still there. It's in a bunch of that backlot was used for Gilmore Girls too. So if you watch Gilmore Girls, that's the quad area. But down further over by where the Jurassic Park ride was, there's these 3 buildings that are all connected, sound stages. And you go in there and you learn about how, after you film the movie, add special effects, or even how they film certain things in a soundstage. So there's one room where you go in there and it's a bunch of Foley work. We need 5 volunteers. Hey, when this light lights up, hit this and it makes a sound, so it sounds like, feet are walking across, this. When this light goes on, flip this open so it sounds like a window's creaking open, that kind of thing. The last room is like this massive soundstage, and they have the clock tower, the giant clock, but it's eye level. It's not like the huge tower. It's maybe a story in the air, but it's like, this is what we do. Only instead of filming outside, him hooked up, what we do is we film in here. We got the camera on him. He's really only 15 feet in the air. He's harnessed in. We need a volunteer, and we'll show you how they filmed this scene. My dad raises his hand, and he gets pulled off onto the stage. They put him in the Doc Brown wig. They give him a cloak. They have him harnessed to the clock, and he's got 2 Colt cables above him. And they're like, okay, Robert, when we say action, I remember this too. It's crazy. It's 1998, so I'm 7 years old. in my head, this is like the coolest thing of all time because my dad's up there doing this. We used to have home video footage of it. I don't know where the tape is now, but this will live rent free in my head forever. Like, okay, Robert, when we call action, you're going to try to get the cables put together, and the guy's kind of narrating the action kind of thing. And action. All right, Robert, let's send Marty back to the future. Okay, all right, get those cables. Obviously, the cables are stuck, so he can't actually pull them together, but, just keep acting like you're trying to hook them together. All right, well, Robert, it was pretty windy that night, so let's add some wind. So a big fan hits, his cloak's flowing, he's got the wig is flowing. All right, yep. Oh, it was also raining that night, so let's add some rain. They turn on the
fire hose.
The fire hose.
Essentially, to make it look like it's raining in front of the camera. They got the aluminum tins that make, like thunder. Oh, and then of course we need some lightning, so let's get some lightning, Robert. We gotta send Marty back to the future. They simulate lightning hitting the tower, and the lights go out, and the lights come back on, and there's a smoking skeleton where my dad was, in Doc Brown, and I'll never forget. So the lights come back on, and the narrator guy goes, "Oh, Robert.
Not again."
We lost another one." So I was asking him about it the other day. I was like, "Do you remember this at all? Because I remember this so vividly." And he goes, "Yeah, it was wild. They took me into a back room. I could see the other side of the tower, so obviously I could see that there was a skeleton there. He said that when the lights went out, the wall just flipped around. He said it was a lot of fun. I thought that would be. I will never forget that for as long as I live. But
Yeah, I remember that too. It's just it's wild that your dad got picked.
Yeah. I wish we could find that tape.
Yeah.
We moved so many times, and
it's funny because on the same trip that I went there, my cousin got picked at SeaWorld to do the Shamu show. On that same California trip.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty cool.
How wet did he get?
Yeah, soaked. Soaked.
Ugh. And now you're just walking around in salt water the rest of the day.
Yeah. Smelling like fish.
And also, obviously they used to have the Back to the Future ride at Universal Studios that I'm sure you've ridden, right, Brandon? Yeah. They put you in that DeLorean and you fly around, which Zemeckis filmed, specifically for the attraction, a bunch of miniatures. That's now a Simpsons ride.
Oh, is that what it is now?
R.I.P.
Mm-hmm. Bummer.
And they're probably going to have to change it out, too, because they're about to lose their Simpsons license at Universal Studios. No. I'm hoping the Back to the Future ride comes back once they get rid of Simpsons area.
Is Backdraft still there?
I don't know. I think that because those sound stages aren't even there anymore.
That's how old I am, I guess, or the last time I went to Universal Studios. That was my favorite of all time was the Backdraft. Just that.
Yeah.
And the Water World. The Water World.
Michael,
was
they put you in a room.
Yeah.
The Water World Stunt Spectacular is amazing.
So cool.
Best stunt show I've ever seen in my life. Michael, this Backdraft attraction was right next to those sound stages. They put you in a room, so there's a movie called Backdraft. It's firefighters. They put you in a room. They light the room on fire.
Well,
real fire.
Yeah, they funnel you through this walkway thing, and the sound stage is literally 30 feet from you, and then they just light this whole room on fire.
And it is hot.
Hot.
And the metal bridge you're on starts getting too hot, and then they do this thing where they move the bridge forward a bit, so you have a jump. I was like, I can't believe they used to do that.
Yeah, this seems like an opportunity for people to fall all over each other.
This isn't like they lit some fires.
They lit the fire.
The room on fire.
It's like an explosion. Yeah.
When you're there for the first time, I was 6 or 7. I'm like, well, this is it.
This is how I go out.
never even seen the movie yet. I just thought that this was some sick thing they did to people. It's like,
Yeah, that whole trip though got me just like obsessed with movies.
yeah. We used to go to Southern California every year. We usually did Disneyland, but we did Universal like every 4 to 5 years.
Yeah.
And it was always like, you obviously how time works. You're 5 years older, so now you appreciate more things as you go. Especially that train, because now I've seen this movie that we're filming at, or the next time, oh, now I've seen this movie, that kind of thing. So you're like, you can feel it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a fun little anecdote. But
I feel like I don't even have to go to Universal anymore. I got all through you guys.
I mean, I would still recommend.
I'm just kidding.
going.
Yeah.
no, you got to go to Mario World now.
I usually only go to Disney World like every 20 years or so.
Once in my lifetime.
I went in 2001, and then I went again in 2019. So.
Oh, so twice.
So 2038, you're gonna go back.
Yep, planning it right now. Starting to budget right now. Putting $1
saving
away every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I haven't been since 2009. Sorry, I haven't been to Disneyland since 2014, but Universal since
Probably
2009.
been like a good 25 years for me.
Universal Studios was advertising the 4th Fast and the Furious movie last time I was there.
Oh, jeez.
The last time I was there,
how long it was.
because I've been there twice or maybe 3 times, I can't quite remember, but they were doing it was Shrek 4D was the last time.
Shrek 4D.
Yeah, I've done that.
I think the first Transformers had maybe just...
Oh, so that was like
maybe.
2007.
I can't remember.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good times. So
Great movie though. I mean, if you get a ride at Universal Studios though, I mean that
High
cements you in movie lore.
yeah, except for Jurassic World, they just reskinned the Jurassic Park ride.
Yeah.
Put a bunch of screens up. But they used to have that Terminator 2 Judgment Day thing. It was like a show.
Yeah.
But it was like a
Yeah,
3D
that was
adventure.
cool.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get back to the future.
Let's get back to the future.
Doc Brown is able to connect the thing my dad wasn't able to do. He was able to string the wires together and then slide down the wires before lightning strikes. And actually it does kind of strike, and he kind of puts it in right as, because he unhooks again he's able to hook it up top, and then it unplugs the one from the bottom, and so he gets down, he's able to connect it. Marty hits that wire right as the lightning hits, blasts off again, get those flaming tracks. Doc Brown hip hips hoorays, is hooting and hollering. He finally did it. We did it. We figured it out. Marty's back, and we cut to 1985, and he like crashes into the porn theater because he's just going straight. He decides, well, I should say before, he messes with the time a bit so he can go back 10 minutes before he goes so he could try to save Doc. But again, he has no fuel. He used it all up. Doesn't he just like hit it real hard and it starts up? It's one of those things. Just like, okay, movie magic. He doesn't just push it to a Texaco station and fill it up real quick.
It's like it's like blowing in the Nintendo cartridge.
You just got to hit the monitor and it works.
Yeah.
He sees the Libyan nationalists drive by him, so now he's got to hurry. He drives to now the Lone Pine Mall. It's no longer the Twin Pine Mall, Pine Tree, when he went back in 1955.
The one where they keep the continuity, man. That's funny.
Yeah. Which is something I didn't even notice until 5 or 6 years ago. I was like, oh, I never even noticed that. It's a different name. Shows up, but it's still just not enough time. He sees Doc get shot. He sees himself get in the car, drive away. The Libyans crash. The car doesn't blow up. They just kind of crash, so they could still be alive. They spend a lot of time in that one area. I'm just saying that their Libyans are probably okay. He sees the car go back to the past. He runs over to Doc. I was too late. But he sits up, reveals he's got a bulletproof vest on. He goes, "What about the ramifications?" And he goes,
Yeah.
I thought, what the hell? Not my problem. It's the future's problem. Happy ending. Drives him home. Hey, when you go to the future, look me up, kind of thing. Will do. Tussles his hair. He goes to bed. He wakes up in the morning, and his house is nice as fuck, guys. His family's wealthy. His parents love each other. His father published a book. He goes, "It's like I always told you."
Didn't they just come back from like
that once?
Yeah, didn't they
From,
come
like,
back from
tennis
playing
lessons or
tennis?
something?
Yeah. It's like so unlike them.
All because he punched Biff in the face. He found that new confidence. We go out there. We see that Biff is now his lackey waxing his car, which again I think is insane.
Yeah, why do you keep the guy around?
Now
guess-
Biff always trying to get away with stuff. Yeah, man.
Yeah, kind of weird.
Trying to
I
get
tried
away
to
from
rape your
you.
wife, and now he's like your sidekick now. Marty's girlfriend shows up. We're gonna go out to the lake. We got that Toyota that Brandon wanted so bad.
Yeah.
I had the little Hot Wheels version of it.
So did I.
But Doc comes back. We can't stay here. It's your kids, Marty. We got to do something about your kids. He's like, why can't you just tell me how to fix them now? Because that's the future. Right? You know what I'm saying? It's just like one of those silly things. But we're setting up a sequel that they didn't even think they were going to get. It was just more of a haha, But then it got greenlit for, and they're like, oh shit, now we got to
Now we actually have to write a story around it. Yeah.
Now we got to figure out what the future looks like because we promised the future. He hits us with that roads where we're going. We don't need roads line.
Another good one.
Wheels pop up. Takes off flying. Bum, 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 bum. Boom. Movie over. I had read that by the time the VHS had come out, because Back to the Future 2 was in 89, they reprinted on the VHS To Be Continued. Did you get a To Be Continued when you saw it? When you watched it? I don't know how you watched it. But I have it on my Blu-ray. I have it, but when it was originally in theaters, it didn't have it To Be Continued.
Yeah, I own it. I own the digital version on like Google Movies.
Google Movies.
Google.
Yeah, I freaking rented it, and then I saw it's on Netflix. I'm like, what the? I use my Google Opinion rewards thing, so I didn't really spend any money. I basically just spent Google's money, but
That's what I do, and I just reinvest it right back into Google by buying a movie.
yeah.
You get.
Dude, at one point I had like $30.
Yeah,
Went
it's
down to, like,
awesome.
9, but it just, yeah.
They give you money for your opinions.
Yeah,
Yeah, you just take a
it's kind of
survey.
creepy sometimes. I go to
It
this
is.
grocery store up the street all the time just to get stuff. It's kind of expensive, but for onesie twosies, it's fine. It's called New Seasons, and then 2 hours later, be like, "Oh, you have a new opinion reward," and be like, "Have you visited?"
Were
any
you
of-
just at New Seasons?
Yeah, it's like, "Have you visited any of these stores?" And it's like random place, New Seasons, random place. I'm like, New Seasons.
When did you go? Last month? This week? Yesterday?
It's
Today?
Like, yeah, it's like
You're like,
Friday,
damn.
July 12th, and you're like,
5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
yeah. But
Shit.
anyways,
But then you get Google Play credit,
yeah.
and then you just turn that into money and buy or rent movies.
Yep, or a premium version of a Game Boy Advance emulator. So,
So I can play Back to the Future.
yes, or Pokemon
The game.
Red.
The
know?
game.
On Sega.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get yourself a Sega Genesis. Play the old Sega game.
Well,
Sure
love
they have
that.
a computer game.
Oh yeah, I got a couple emulators on my. I have a PS2 emulator. I was playing Spyro, and yeah, I got all sorts of shit, man.
Do you guys think this movie is a thriller?
Yes.
Yes. Adventure thriller.
It's not. Sorry.
The fuck?
Dang it.
Not according to AFI. It is, however, the number 10 sci-fi film, according to the AFI.
Yep.
Okay, I guess it's science fiction. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, time travel.
Yeah. Fair
Yeah,
enough.
time travel.
All right, but it is thrilling though, in my opinion.
I was expecting it to be there. I was like, surely.
We've been
Of all the...
biffed before.
Biffed.
That's
Got
about as fun as a
him.
screen door on a battleship. This movie famously fired Eric Stoltz. Do you know about this, Michael? They wanted Michael J. Fox for this movie, obviously.
But Family Ties was getting in the way.
Yeah, Family Ties, the famous show he was on in the 80s. The producer of the show didn't want to give up him because they had a TV show to make. So they were like, well, let's hire Eric Stoltz. He kind of looks like him.
Like a mix between like David Spade and Michael J. Fox.
He's definitely got his facial, the structure. He's much taller than Michael J. Fox, but they hire him. And Eric Stoltz was very method. He only answered to Marty. They filmed for 5 weeks. While filming, the guy who plays Biff, Tom Wilson, has said that he was like way too method. When they were doing the pushing and shoving, he like almost broke his collarbone because he shoved him so hard, and he was expecting like an actor push and not like a full body shove. And that he had said
That's a
that
hell of a push.
he was like planning to, in the cafeteria when Biff shoves him, he was planning to like give it back to him, but he never made it to that day before he got fired. Zemeckis, while filming, was like, he doesn't have the comedy chops that I want, that we wrote for this movie. Something's not working. It's a little dark. I'm not to say that like he's just like a scary dark person, but like the comedy wasn't hitting. He went to Spielberg, showed him dailies. Spielberg agreed. So they said, but we can't fire him if we don't have a replacement ready to go, because if we do that, the studio's going to scrap the movie altogether. So they reach out. I wrote the guy's name down.
Such faith.
Gary David Goldberg, who was the producer of Family Ties. Once again, please. And Goldberg said, I'll let him read the script, and if he wants to do it, he can, but Family Ties has to be the priority. You work around our schedule. We don't work around yours. Michael J. Fox read the script, said it was the best thing he's ever read. So he was starting his day about, it was like 10 in the morning, and would film until 6 p.m. on Family Ties. Then he would get in a station wagon that they had a mattress down there for him. He would take a nap while they drove him to set, and they would film night scenes from 6 p.m. until about 4 or 5 in the morning. And then I saw in an interview, Michael J. Fox said that he was being carried into his house and put in his bed. He would sleep for about 4 to 5 hours a day, get up, take a cold shower, go to set, film Family Ties, and he did that the entire. And they were also 5 weeks behind, which is what ballooned the budget to $19 million, because they added another $4 million. They paid out Stoltz. Eric Stoltz's girlfriend in the movie, so Jessica, right? That's her name, Jessica? Jessica? Marty's girlfriend, was actually cast as Melora Hardin, who plays Jan Gould from The Office. She was cast as the girlfriend, but then when they brought in Michael J. Fox, they're like, she's 5 inches taller than him.
Yeah.
So they let her go. She never filmed a scene. They just took one photo that was going to be like a photo that he carried in his wallet. But she never actually filmed, and that's when they brought in the gal they had, who originally had to turn it down because she started in a TV show. But by the time, after the 5 weeks, it had already been canceled, so she was able to come back and film the movie. And then she gets recast as Elizabeth Shue in the second and third movies. And they were so behind the 8 ball that by the time they wrapped filming and the movie premiered was only 9 weeks.
Jeez. Sweet Jesus.
It's crazy. Yeah, I do find it interesting in the parallels between Michael J. Fox's character in Family Ties to Marty McFly. They're like almost the exact same character.
I get all those shows, there's like All in the Family, Family Ties. There's another
I
one
do
with
too.
Family.
And then and then you had Robin Williams, a little bit before that in that show that what was that one show that he was in at around the same time?
The alien movie? Mork?
No.
Mork and Mindy?
Yeah, Mark. No.
Yeah, he's an alien, right?
Is that the concept?
Yeah, because it's a spin-off
I've never
of
watched it.
Happy Days.
Yeah.
There was like a bunch of spin-offs from Happy
Yeah,
Days.
Mork and Mindy.
Yeah, Mork from Ork.
That's right.
What was his catchphrase? Zabadoo? Something like that? Yabba dabba dooba.
Nanu.
Yeah, Nanu. Yeah. I love this movie.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. A question that will never be answered. And just like when we did the original list, knowing our opinion doesn't actually matter. Do you think this movie should be on the top 100 list of all time?
I had that thought too.
I think you could make a case for it, and I think it would probably sit in the late 80s, 90s on the top 100 list.
Yeah,
but I think you could make an argument.
It's a cultural touchstone.
And the watchability and the it's well prepared, mostly. But it's an easy watch, like you said, it's a popcorn film, and yeah, I mean, there's plenty of we've gone through a bunch of Spielberg movies on there that could be really, a lot of duplicates that are on there that probably don't need to be, and ones like these, I feel like you could definitely make room for it. So, but yeah, like a cultural touchstone. I mean, that's saying something right there too.
Yeah. This movie, along with this, I should say, franchise, along with the Indiana Jones original trilogy, is what started. When we were all on Night Crew, it's what started the movie marathons. I know, Michael, you've been to one. Brandon, you didn't go. But back in the day when we were all on Night Crew, close friend of mine, Brandon's personal enemy, Zach, had never seen either Indiana Jones or a Back to the Future film. So we decided, let's have a movie marathon. Let's watch 6 movies. We decided to do Back to the Future first because they're kind of redundant. It's not shade at them, but by the third one, you're like, I've seen this Biff say this exact phrase 17 times.
And that's why I left the third one out of my favorites, because it's like the same thing. You just take both of them and you mash it into one, and then you've got 3.
Especially since 2 and 3 were filmed back to back. It was like one of the first films to ever do that. They filmed them not simultaneously, but back to back. So yeah, I mean, I had 10, 15 people at my house, and then obviously people kind of peel off by the end of it, but that's kind of what kickstarted those movie marathons. But I love this movie. In 2015, on October 26, 2015, that's the day in the second movie they go back. They go to the future, I should say. The theater for us showed all 3, and my dad and 2 of my sisters all went and did the marathon, the 3-movie marathon. And then I watched this movie 4 times in the last month and a half. So yeah. I probably won't watch it again for a while, but I still...
Yeah, I mean, I have to take a little break from it too.
Yeah. All in all, 2 thumbs up from me.
Same.
How many flux capacitors would you give it?
5 out of 5.
Just 5 out of 5 flux capacitors.
You know what's funny is the word flux. So I've been learning Java lately. It's a coding language, and they have this thing called a flux action, and it's a time-stamped, it's like a time-stamped event. So I thought that got me funny there. What is? Yeah, flux action is an asynchronous sequence of values or an object that represents an event. So.
Time travel.
Nice.
Yeah, exactly.
And it capacitates.
Yeah.
You gotta shield your eyes from the light, is what it says. But.
Yep.
Do we have anything else we want to discuss? Throw out?
No. Do we want to...
You want to talk about what we're doing next time?
Yeah, let's do it.
Well, we're gonna double dip with some Zemeckis. Like I said, we all... we chose 10 movies to do, and we're just going chronologically through. So this next one is my pick, and it's, again, an argument for, I think this should be over Forrest Gump on the list. We're doing Who Framed Roger Rabbit, personal favorite of mine. Looking forward to sitting down and talking to you guys about that movie. Also, we're getting a little bit extra Christopher Lloyd.
Oh, yeah, double dip of Christopher Lloyd.
Mm-hmm. So,
one crazy hair and one bald.
Oh, and he talks just like this. Please. So we'll be back next time with Who Framed Roger Rabbit. What do you say we go ahead and cut Print Check the Gate?
See you guys.
See ya.